Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast. It's your host, Jeff Farrell, here with my co-host, Andrew Tanzi, coming at you to break down everything you need to know for Week 10 in the NFL. Going to do a little Week 9 recap, go over how everything went. Spoiler alert, didn't go very well. Then we're going to break down every game in Week 10, see if we can get things back on track, give out our favorite bets on sides, totals, and props for every single game, and close the show with our long shot best bets and everyone's favorite, the Chalk Donkey Parlay. Ru, how was Week 9? It did not go well for me. Was it any better for you?
Yeah, I'm going to apologize in advance. Anyone who listens can tell I am sick, but no days off during the NFL season, so we're here powering through it. If it's your first time listening, normally I'm full of energy and absolute chaos on here, but little toned down today. So I'm going to do my best to push through it, but yeah, I think it's just a sickness from Week 9 at this point because what an
That's
absolute
how bad it was.
It's just a Week 9 hangover. We were just getting pounded left and right. Just seemed like I felt really good going into the week. I had another bet with 7.5 points of closing line value, so I'm now 0-3 on those bets in the last 2 weeks, which is just unheard of. So after the 1 o'clock slate, I was already down, but I felt really good about my bets in the 4 o'clock and the night game, and then everything just kept losing. So we kind of knew it was going to happen at some point after 8 extremely profitable weeks. So I'm glad we got out of the way, and definitely looking forward to getting on to Week 10 here.
Yep, gonna get back on track here. Favorite bets of the week last week, Ru, you had the Chargers at -2. This was probably one of the lone bright spots on the day. You moved to 6-2-1 on the week. How'd the Chargers go?
Yeah, so I was at the game, and I was doing my best to root for the Eagles, obviously, but with how
every time the Chargers score, you're like, yes, under your breath.
With how my day was going, it was just I was pulling for the Chargers, and it was fake cheers every time the Eagles did something. So I'm very, very glad they pulled that one out for me and salvaged something for me.
Yeah, I had the Cowboys at -9, one of the most embarrassing losses I've ever seen. If you would have told me a team in this game was up 30-0, like there was just 100% chance it was going to be the Cowboys. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. It was the Broncos. So I moved to 6-3. Awful loss.
That game was a shutout too.
That was a joke that they scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, 30-16, but it was 30-0.
Long shots of the week. You took a loss there. You had Elijah Mitchell over 100 rush yards and the Niners money line. Neither of them came through. You dropped to 2-6. My long shot, apparently I just cursed everyone in this game because I had Tua and Devontae Parker both over yards, and neither of them ended up playing. So I will stay at 4-3. No long shot for me. Prop sheet. This is honestly pretty incredible. Like the fact that I felt like we got our faces stomped in by the NFL and it felt like nothing went right and we were still able to churn out a small profit on the prop sheet. Unbelievable. 8-6 last week somehow. I think we got off to like a 7-2 start, and the late slate just killed us. Adrian Peterson got the 10 carries we were projecting, couldn't even get 30 yards. So Debo missed by 1 catch and 3 yards. So overall 8-6 on the week for the prop sheet. We moved to 56-26 overall, still hitting around 69%. So not too bad. Chalk Donkey Parlay, another loss. This one was ugly. We had Colts, Cowboys, Rams, and Bills hit one of the 4 legs. So they dropped to 4-2 on the year. And I think that recap will wipe the slate clean and we can move on to Week 10.
Yeah, enough of that.
Heroes and zeros of the week. I was really struggling with a hero of the week here. Did you have any? Because there were not many heroes to go around.
Yeah, I just went with Justin Herbert. I'm more inclined to go with the Eagles defense, but as my hero for helping the Chargers bet cash. But I'll go with Justin Gannon. Herbert. Yeah, I'll go with Justin Herbert. 80+% of his passes. Took what the defense was giving him all day. Got the Chargers in position to kick the game-winning field goal. So I'll go with Justin Herbert, giving me one bright spot on the day.
All right. I also had the Chargers written down as well as an honorary hero of the week. I'll go with Lamar Jackson. We had his passing and rushing prop over last week. He's just awesome, man. I did a deep dive on the NFL MVP race this week. I ended up taking a little bit of Lamar and Tom Brady both to win the MVP because I do not believe Josh Allen is the rightful favorite. So I think Lamar is having an incredible year. He's around 12-1, 14-1 to win the MVP. I am in on that. I know that was one of your preseason bets. So hero of the week, Lamar Jackson, for continuing to be awesome.
Which it's the same. I think I got it at 14-1 preseason. So I'm kind of surprised it's still there. And yeah, like you said,
I don't get why it's not dropping. It makes no sense.
Like you said, and I said it a few weeks ago with what the Ravens have overcome to be sitting where they're at. Obviously, they laid an egg against the Bengals a few weeks ago, but to be where they're at with all the injuries they've had and the way Lamar has played, I think, he should be top 3. And the fact that Josh Allen is still, 1 or tied with Brady for 1 right now it's crazy to me.
Yeah, makes no sense. 0 of the week for me. I'm going to go with Tyrod Taylor. Imagine a game where you bet on a team +7. That team holds their opponent to 17 points and forces 5 turnovers. Is it even possible to not cover a 7-point spread in that game? Apparently anything is possible with Tyrod Taylor. Words could not describe how atrocious he played. He made Davis Mills look like Tom Brady out there. I had 3.5 points of closing line value, a backup quarterback on the other team. Texans defense forced 5 turnovers, and it still couldn't even cover a 7-point spread. Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, that was just part of the mayhem in week 9 because I was right there with you all. We took Texans +7 earlier in the week. I ended up betting their money line at a pretty good number
so did I.
After Tua was ruled out, thinking, the Texans, thinking it should have been basically a coin flip spread. And like you said, the way they played, 5 turnovers and still not even be able to cover 7 points. I feel like the last 3 weeks we've been like, if Tyrod comes back, I'm on the Texans. If Tyrod comes back,
we've been waiting for this moment forever, and this is what we got.
So, and this is what Tyrod gave us. So thanks, Tyrod. Yeah, that's a good 0. I am going with the aforementioned Josh Allen putting up 9 points against arguably the worst defense in the league.
Did they even score 9 points?
Or sorry, 6 points. They lost 9-6. So yeah, 6 points.
Imagine if he actually scored 9 points.
9 points, he wouldn't be the 0 of the week, of course. A defense that just allowed Geno Smith to complete 80+% of his passes and go up and down the field. It's something about, I don't know what it is with this cover 2 shell defense that all these teams are playing against the Chiefs. And now they did it against Josh Allen on Sunday. I don't understand how, I understand why it's tough to beat, but there's got to be something here. It's not a bulletproof.
If they're taking away the deep pass, the middle of the field and the deep middle has to be open. You can't just...
You do what Justin Herbert did against the Eagles. They were throwing those little out routes. They were just, 10-yard routes to Keenan Allen. There's stuff there.
The problem is Josh Allen and Mahomes and guys like that, they just want the big play so bad that they just refuse to take what the defense gives them. If they would just hit the open guy for 5 to 10 yards every time, they'd be fine, but they keep looking for the deep pass every time, and it just hurts them.
Yeah. But Josh Allen, my 0 of the week. And I'm glad I was on my way to the game during the 1:00 games. And I'm glad I wasn't home because there's no doubt in my mind I would have placed a live bet on the Bills at some point, thinking there was no way they were going to lose.
Yeah, I actually looked at it multiple times. I never got the number low enough where I wanted to take it, but I was definitely looking at live betting them. Thank God I didn't get a good number because it would have only made it that much more painful. All right, that'll wrap up our week 9 recap. Let's move on to week 10 here. Teams on a bye. We have Bears, Bengals, Texans, and Giants. Not a very good group of teams there, so we will not miss them very much. Let's go to our game-by-game breakdown. Thursday Night Football. We have the Ravens traveling to take on the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are 7.5-point home underdogs. Over-under is 46.5. Ravens just keep winning no matter what the circumstances are. Down by 21 points to the Vikings, come back, no problem. It's been the story of their season. The Dolphins have obviously been a disaster. I think there's a very interesting dichotomy that presents itself in this game. The Dolphins, I feel like they're still being rated as a slightly below average team. I disagree with that notion. I think the spread here should be closer to 9.5, 10. But the problem is the Ravens have not been this team profile has been different than we're historically used to under Harbaugh and Lamar. This used to be a team that we would love laying points with in the past. They would smash these teams, win by 30 points. The fact that they don't have a run game anymore, they're not doing that. The Ravens have played 4 games this season where they've been favored by 6 to 10 points. Week 3, -7.5 against Detroit. They won by 2. Week 5, -7.5 against the Colts. They win by 6 in overtime. Week 7, -6.5 against Cincy, lose by 24. And then last week, -7 against Minnesota, win by 6 in overtime. So for me, this is just a game where I don't really want to lay points with the Ravens, but I would never in a million years back the Dolphins. So I think this is a fantastic live betting spot if the Ravens go down early again. And it's also possibly the best teaser leg in many, many weeks. I am all over the Ravens in teasers as well.
Yeah,
What do you have?
I feel like I wrote this down wrong. The Ravens are on the road here.
Yes.
What's that? 5 straight games they were home, or 4 straight games they were home before?
Oh yeah, they forgot what a road game was.
Yeah, I was thinking
they finally got one of them.
Yeah, I was thinking they were never gonna get away from Baltimore. But yeah, you said it. This is probably my favorite teaser spot of the week. The concern with laying the points here for me is the Ravens pass defense is still a serious issue. 23rd in pass DVOA, allowing 7.7 yards per pass, which is 28th in the league. I don't think we have confirmation if it's going to be Tua or Brissett, but if it's Tua, I feel like he's shown some competence moving the ball up and down the field enough to where it would make me nervous that the back door would be wide open for them to cover a 7.5 point spread. So like you, I have it in a couple teasers, and I'll be looking to get the Ravens live, probably like a -200 or better money line. So that's where I'm at.
We are in lockstep. Other injury news I forgot to mention: Devontae Parker and Will Fuller both going to be out for the Dolphins, and then we have Sammy Watkins and Latavius Murray both questionable, probably on the wrong side of questionable, so not super impactful injuries, but we'll see what happens there. Props in this game. I actually have a lot of props that I like here. On the Ravens side, I'm going right back to Lamar Jackson over passing plus rushing yards. Last week, we got this at 311.5. Right now, it's currently 299.5. That is an absolute steal. Lamar has gone over this total in every game except one this season. The Dolphins defense is bottom 12 against both the pass and the run. And with the way this Ravens offense is set up, you're basically just getting like every yard that the Ravens gain outside of like a handful of carries to Devontae Freeman. Like it's all Lamar with his legs or with his arms. So love that play. And then also in the passing game, I went Hollywood Brown over 56.5 receiving yards. He leads the Ravens in targets, catches, and yards over this total in 4 of the last 5. Dolphins D has struggled against wide receiver ones. Did you have any props here before I give my Dolphins props?
On the Ravens side, I also like the Hollywood Brown. That definitely seemed a bit low. And then one on the Dolphins side, I think you got to take Waddle at receptions over 5.5 at the plus money. I wouldn't take it at minus money, but he's getting double-digit targets. There's been a few weeks where he's seen 10+ targets and they've only connected 4 times. But who's ever under center seems to be targeting. It's just him and Gesicki and then everybody else. So I think you're safe to play him and Gesicki receptions over.
Yeah, I'm with you right there. I wrote down Gesicki over receiving yards. Similar thing. He's got the volume. Ravens are 22nd in DVOA against the tight end position. And then I also wrote down Mike Gesicki over 20.5 yards for his longest reception. So far this season, he's gone 18, 27, 22, 23, 32, 27, 40, 18. So 2 games at 18 yards. The other 6 have all had 22 or more. So he's getting those targets down the field. He can run after the catch. I think Gesicki over 20.5 longest reception is also a fun way to play the prop market. And that wraps up my props in this game. All right, moving on to Sunday. We're going to start with a big one here. Let's go Browns and Patriots in Foxborough. Patriots 1.5 point home favorites. Over under is 45. What a battle this is going to be. A pair of 5 and 4 teams jockeying for AFC wildcard position. And just from a philosophical perspective, I feel like this game is really cool. You have 2 teams that kind of want to do the same thing. They're almost mirror images, well-coached quarterbacks who try and more manage the game rather than make plays. Incredibly heavily lean on the run game, good defenses. So I think this sets up for a real dogfight. Obviously, we have some impactful injuries in the running game. The Browns have pretty much every running back on their roster outside of Dearness Johnson currently on the COVID list. So Nick Chubb still has a chance to play, but it's not looking well. And then Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson both got banged up at the end of last game. No real official word on if they're going to play here. I grabbed the Patriots money line here at -110. I felt like at a straight pick 'em, it was better to go with the home team. I trust the Patriots defense to be able to stop the Browns offense. I think they can win an ugly game here. And I also played the under 45.5. I'm expecting run heavy game plans from both teams. Browns are 31st in pace. Patriots are 19th. Both teams seem to cater their approach to whoever they're playing. We've seen the Browns play some shootouts. They played that 47-42 game against the Chargers. Week 1 against the Chiefs was a shootout, but we've also seen 14-7 win over the Vikings, 17-14 over the Broncos, 15-10 versus the Steelers. I think they're going to kind of cater to their opponent. And the Patriots and Browns, I don't really see either offense exploding here. So I'm seeing a low scoring, like 19-17 type win for the Patriots. What do you got here?
Yeah, I'm with you on the under. I see this being a low scoring game. Both teams want to run the ball. Patriots are 6th in DVOA against the pass, so they should be able to limit the little bit of explosiveness that the Browns show from time to time. And, the Patriots offense, there's really no big play threats on there. So I see a lot of punts in this game, maybe get a turnover or two. I'm with you. Under's the play all the way here for me. And I'm also on Patriots. I bought into the Patriots money line at -110 when Chubb was ruled out. It's just such a big loss. I feel like they're such a different team. Obviously, we saw Dearness Johnson have the big game on Thursday night, but Chubb's just a different weapon in this offense, and the entire team just revolves around him. So with him being out, give me the Patriots here. I expect Belichick to put this on Baker's arm, and that's really never what you want if you're the Browns. So yeah. Patriots in the under.
Yeah, Chubb's a big loss. Even in that game that Dearness Johnson played, he was incredible. But, I mean, the Browns still put up 17 points in that game. Maybe they could have scored at the end of the game, but it wasn't like they dropped 35 on the Broncos and were absolutely torching them. So even if Dearness Johnson plays well, I don't think they're going to light the world on fire. Props in this game, probably not touching any. Just want to make a quick note on Damian Harris. We were over his rush yards last week. That's going to have to be a stay away for now. I know he left the game a little bit early, but he got 15 carries. Even when he did get that workload, he was splitting the backfield. Ramondre Stevenson and Brandon Bolden combined for 18 carries, and Harris only played 39% of the snaps. So this is looking more like a committee than the Damian Harris show that we've seen in past weeks. So no props for me. And if Harris does play, I'm not going to go back to that this week.
Well, yeah, after a few weeks of getting his overs and his touchdowns at good prices, it just seemed like it went back to the Patriots backfield of old where you never know who's going to get the ball. Harris got off to a pretty slow start, and then Stevenson had a couple big runs. So after that, they just ended up splitting carries. So
yeah, luckily we still got the touchdown, but
yes.
Anything to say? Any props for you?
Nope.
All right, let's go Jaguars, Colts, AFC South battle. Colts are -10-point home favorites. Over under is 47.5. Colts obviously coming off a nice Thursday night football win over the Jets. Meanwhile, the Jags shocked the world, beat the Buffalo Bills. We have T.Y. Hilton and James Robinson are both going to be questionable. Trevor Lawrence did have an ankle sprain. He was limited in practice on Wednesday. It sounds like he's going to play, so no bad news there. I can finally hang my hat on my take that I've had all year that the Jaguars are a frisky underdog that can make some noise. So didn't see that one coming last week, but we can put that narrative to bed. Colts 2-0 this season as double-digit favorites. They won and covered against both the Texans and Jets already this season. I don't really have a play here. I don't really like taking the Jaguars off that big emotional win last week. I don't really want to lay double digits against the Colts. Do you have any strong plays here on the side or total? I really didn't have anything that stood out to me.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping for like the ultimate sell high spot on the Jaguars, but the line kind of opened up where I expected it. Maybe if it keeps creeping down more into single digits, I would take the Colts, but I know you said the Colts covered two bigger spreads, but the Jets were 5 yards away from getting a backdoor cover last game. That would
have been the stupidest backdoor cover ever. Yeah, that game was so dumb.
But, with how mistake prone Wentz is, it's just tough to lay double digits. Not to mention their defense got shredded by Josh Johnson, who hadn't played NFL football for however many years. So, and look, the Jags, their bright spot of the team may be their rush defense. They're 10th in DVOA against the rush, and they're only allowing 3.8 yards per carry, which is third best in the NFL. So maybe they're able to limit Taylor a little bit and put this more on Wentz. And like I said, he's obviously a mistake prone guy. So Maybe another live bet spot, probably going to end up being a full stay away for me on this game.
Yeah, both these teams profile pretty similarly. They're both top 8 in the league against the run and bottom 8 in the league against the pass. So maybe look for the pass games a little bit, and that will tie in with some of the props that I am looking at here. Definitely going to be looking at Michael Pittman over receiving yards. We've seen his number in the low to mid 60s. Jaguars defense is dead last in DVOA against the pass. Pittman leads the Colts in every receiving category and has been over 60 yards in 4 of the last 5 games. And on the Jaguars side, let's go right back to Dan Arnold. Let's see if we can get him in the 30s. He was around, I think he closed like 36.5 last week. If we can get anywhere near there, around 40, right back to Arnold. The last 4 weeks, he's been 60, 68, 27, and 64 receiving yards, averaging 7.5 targets. And then maybe a little under the radar play, Jamal Agnew. He has been the best wide receiver on the Jaguars team over the last 4 weeks. He has 3, 6, 5, and 6 catch games. Yards have been around 30 to 70. We'll see where his line opens, but I think he could be a spot. They're really trying to manufacture him touches. He's historically just been a special teams player, at a kick return for a touchdown earlier this year. But if we can get maybe a mid 30s receiving total, a 3.5 reception total with plus money on the over, I think Agnew could be in play as well.
He crushed me last week. I had him over 3.5 receptions. He had 3.
Did you really?
He had 3 in the first half and didn't have a catch in the second half. It was brutal. But yeah, I wouldn't hate going back to maybe we'll probably get the 3.5 line again. Definitely on board with the Pittman and Arnold play. And maybe you look at a Jonathan Taylor receiving yards. If they can't get the ground game going with him, maybe they'll throw him a couple screen passes, and we've seen him break a couple big ones. So
I could see that. All right, let's move on to our next game here. Let's go Bills and Jets. This line is coming down a little bit. Jets are now 11.5 point home dogs. This one opened around 13.5. Over under is 47.5. It's going to be Mike White again for the Jets. On the Bills side, obviously going to be Josh Allen. We do have Dawson Knox and Zach Moss both questionable. Still don't understand how the Bills lost that game last week. Also, like I said, don't understand how the Jets almost covered that game. So I feel like I should be taking the Bills here. I really want to take the Bills and the under, but there's just something about this stupid Jets Mike White team that's just throwing me off. Like, is he actually good? Are the Jets just going to do this in garbage time every game? Are they going to be able to move the ball? Like, we only saw Mike White for a drive and a half against the Colts, but he drove it right down the field and scored a touchdown. Like, I feel like the Bills should be valuable here at only 11.5 and the under, but I can't do it. I don't know what it is. But are you on them?
It's hard for me to back the Bills here, just from an offensive perspective. You saw them play 2 of the worst defenses in the league the last 2 weeks, and they struggled in both games. I know they covered the bigger spread against the Dolphins, but it really
still didn't look good.
Yeah, they looked terrible for 3/4 of that game. So, and then obviously last week the loss to the Jaguars. So the offense is concerning right now. You're probably going to see Robert Saleh take a similar approach on defense with that cover 2 shell defense. So. And the offensive line was concerning too. They were getting pressure on Josh Allen all game. So I got to see more from the offense before I lay double digits again with them. Their defense though does seem to be on track. So that's kind of how I want to buy into them in this matchup. I bet the Jets team total under 17 points. I'm not buying the Mike White or any of this Jets.
Dude, Mike White's going to get you.
Bill's defense is still looking like a top 5 defense. So I am on the Jets team total under 17.
That is probably the best way to play this game. If I wanted to get involved, I would probably just play the under or the Jets team total under. I agree with that. And I did not have any props that stood out to me here. I'm not going to go back to Michael Carter in the receiving game. He didn't quite see the target share last week, even though he did hit the over. And then,
luckily.
I mean, the Bills are just good against everyone. Yeah, it was very lucky, honestly. You got like that lateral play or whatever that counted for 20 yards. So. Yeah. Any props for you?
Nah, nothing for me.
All right, let's go to Falcons and the Cowboys. Cowboys broke my heart last week. They are 8-point home favorites. Over under is at 54.5. Falcons are rolling here as of late, 4-2 over their last 6 games. Meanwhile, the Cowboys finally lost their first game against the spread this season. Second game actually losing this season. I took a piece of the over here early in the week. I got this at 52. Both these teams are top 10 in the league in pace. I think Dallas can score 30 points here. As long as the Falcons get to 23 or 24, that would push it over. I don't necessarily think I would touch it now. I think this one got steamed up a little bit too high. 54.5 is probably too rich for my blood. 53 would be the last number I would play the over on. So if it did ever come back, maybe you could look at that. Michael Gallup should be back this week for the Cowboys. No other main injuries here. And then, I don't think I have a play on the side here. I think I just like the Cowboys in teasers. I definitely like them in teasers. I don't know if I could lay this many points with them. Do you have a play on the side or total?
Yeah, this Dallas defense is, I said it a couple of weeks ago, it's a huge concern. Without those turnovers and you knew the regression was coming. This defense is a bottom 10 defense, just like they were last year. And Atlanta's stats are just as bad and actually better in some defensive categories. Yards per play, Dallas is allowing 6 yards per play. Atlanta is allowing 5.6 yards per carry. Dallas 4.3, Atlanta 4.4 yards per pass. Dallas 7.4, Atlanta 6.8. So, Dallas has an advantage on the D line, but look, this defense is a huge concern. I think Trayvon Diggs is the definition of a boomer bust corner. This guy is getting either torched or he's getting an interception. He plays a very risky type of defense. So, this defense just allowed 400 yards to the Denver Broncos. So I think you'd be crazy to lay this many points with Dallas. I like this as a get right game for their offense. So I'm with you on Cowboys and teasers now that it's down to 8, but I cannot back this Dallas team with the defense right now. And Atlanta's offense is hot and cold. We've seen it both ways this season, but I think they're capable of moving the ball against this defense. So I like Dallas to win the game, but can't lay the points.
We've seen some money come in on Atlanta. If this did ever get down to Cowboys -7, -110, I would play the Cowboys here on the spread. I think that, last week they were like 10.5 against the Broncos. I think they're a pretty comparable team to the Falcons. So if you're giving me 7.5 or 7, I think I would play the Cowboys just straight up. But I will definitely have them in teasers. In props, so the Falcons are 30th in the NFL at defending both the wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 position. Unfortunately, I don't really ever love targeting any of these players in the Cowboys passing game. They just have too many weapons, especially now with Gallup coming back. You have Cooper, CD, Pollard, Zeke, Dalton Schultz. There's just too many guys for me to predict who's going to have a good week this week. Maybe you look at a Kyle Pitts over receiving yards. His line opened at like 66.5. It was a little higher than I wanted, but the Cowboys are dead last in DVOA against opposing tight ends. So maybe you could look at a Kyle Pitts. You just worry about him without Calvin Ridley there. The defense can obviously key in on him and really stop him. Did you have any props you were like him?
Yeah, I was kind of with you on the Pitts. I was hoping for low 60s. Maybe, that could be one of those props that ends up moving down. Tough to predict, like you said, the Dallas offense, because I feel like if they can run the ball, that's the route they're going to go. So I wouldn't be opposed to another Elliott or Pollard play. But outside of that, it's pretty much a crapshoot on the Falcons offense of who's going to be the second behind Pitts. So nothing else here.
All right, let's go to Saints and Titans. Titans are 2.5-point home favorites. The over-under is 44.5. Titans shocked everyone with a win over the Rams last week without Derrick Henry. Saints lost to the Falcons in a game that came down to the final seconds, but I really don't think it was that close. The Falcons were in control of that game the entire time. I have not heard any official word on whether it's going to be Trevor Siemian or Taysom Hill. I'm not sure it makes a huge difference. And we did get some Alvin Kamara injury news. We were getting some kind of cryptic tweets from the beat reporters saying that something may have happened, but there was nothing official. He was absent from practice today, so that's definitely a situation to monitor. We'll see if he gets in on that Thursday practice. That's really the more important one to know if he's playing. Assuming Kamara plays, I think there could be some value on the Saints here. I was hoping to get a +3 or +3.5. It's just really hard to step in front of this Titans team right now. I don't even think their win against the Rams was it was kind of fluky. They had obviously the pick 6, the interception at like the 2-yard line. I don't know. I feel like the Saints should be valuable, but I really don't know if I want to step in front of this Titans team right now. They just seem to have everything going their way. Did you have a play on this?
Well, you said there's no difference between Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian. I think there's a huge difference. If Taysom Hill starts this, I'll absolutely take the 3 points with the Saints.
Do you think there's a big upgrade from him to
I
from
just
him over Simeon?
I don't think there's a big drop off in the passing game, and I just think Hill being able to run the ball just fits right into the way the Saints want to play. They just want to play these hard-nosed games, play good defense, run the ball, kill the clock, keep the other team off the field. So, and I think Hill plays into that much better than Simeon. This Titans team does not scare me in the slightest without Derrick Henry. They won last week despite putting up only 194 yards and averaging 3.5 yards per play. That's not going to get it done every week. They're not going to get those turnovers. Two good performances from their defense, but their defense is still just decimated. Secondary stinks. So,
do they though? I mean, they've been really good like 3 weeks in a
fine.
row.
I'm not buying into it. I think
Stafford couldn't even throw the ball. They were on him in 2 seconds.
I think the Saints getting a field goal or more in almost any matchup, I think it's worth playing with the style they play. So I took the Saints in a teaser right now. And like I said, if I hear Taysom Hill is in and it holds at 3, goes to 3.5, give me the Saints again. So
I do like them in teasers. I didn't really think about that. I didn't really think about this as a teaser. Like, but that's a good idea, especially if it's Taysom Hill. It's not like he's really going to be chucking interceptions or anything. They're really just going to be running the ball and eating up clock. So I think if it's Taysom Hill, Saints and teasers is definitely a good play. For props, probably nothing here. Should be a lot of A.J. Brown against Marshawn Lattimore, which is going to be a tough matchup. Julio Jones has not really done anything of note this season, so probably no props for me. And if Kamara does play, I know Mark Ingram's will be getting more involved. If Taysom Hill is the quarterback, we know he's going to get the ball a lot, definitely at the goal line. So probably just a pass all around.
Yeah, same here.
All right. Bucks and footballs. Footballs are 9-point home underdogs. Over under is 51.5. Both teams are coming off the bye. Sounds like Antonio Brown's going to be out a couple more weeks. No official news on Gronk yet. The footballs may be getting Logan Thomas back of IR. I'm very curious to see how Tampa Bay looks coming out of the bye. I know, obviously, we saw last year they kind of took off, went on the Super Bowl run. Curious to see if they can find another gear here this season. My play on this game, if we can find, I've seen a couple of them floating out of there. If you can find a Bucks minus 8.5, I think that's a fantastic teaser leg. Pair them with the Cowboys or the Ravens or the Saints. A lot of teaser options this week. Other than that, I'm probably not going to touch the spread. I did play Bucks over 3.5 total team touchdowns. I got that around minus 140. Footballs are 31st in DVOA against the pass. Also love I already said the Bucks and teasers. I think the Bucks are going to be able to score here.
Yeah, if you can, I haven't seen 8.5. You can find an 8.5. Definitely, I would take the Bucks. I'm curious to see how the footballs look. We talked about the last couple of weeks. They had a couple games that slipped through their fingers because of some.
I'm not curious. I've made up my mind. They just suck.
They should be right in the thick of things in the NFC East, and that fighting for a wild card. Just some stupid mistakes in the red zone, not being able to finish drives. So. Yeah, I'm a little reluctant to lay the points here with the mayhem we've seen over the last couple of weeks with these, big upsets and stuff. But I expect the Bucs to be on track here. I'd probably look to target this with a Brady over 2.5 touchdown passes.
Yes.
Well documented how bad the football's pass defense is. So once we get those lined, I'd probably play it at a minus 110 or better. Outside of that, probably not much.
Love that prop. Wrote that down as well. I was also going to look at a Mike Evans or a Chris Godwin anytime touchdown. If you can find them at plus money. If anyone has access to BetMGM, I've been noticing their pricing is a little bit soft on these two players. Specifically, for some reason, they always seem to be around plus 140 every week. So I've taken them both to score like 4 weeks in a row. And then we'll see where the money. I feel like there's been a couple games this season where the footballs have been big dogs and they've got bet a lot. Like I know against the Chiefs game, they took some money. The Packers game, I believe that opened at footballs plus 10 and closed at like plus 7.5. So for some reason, people seem to like this team as a big dog. So if they do take money here, maybe we'll get a minus 8 or a minus 7.5 on the Bucks, and then we can just take them on the spread at that point. So definitely a good teaser option though. All right, let's move on. Oh, it's our debate of the week. Panthers and Cardinals. Let's do it. We have one this week. Cardinals are going to be 10.5 point home favorites. Over under is 44.5. I'm going to be on the Arizona Cardinals here. Injury report before we do our breakdown. Chase Edmonds is going to be out. Sam Darnold also going to be out. So PJ Walker will be the quarterback for the Panthers. We do not have official status on Kyler Murray or DeAndre Hopkins. I would guess they should be trending towards playing since it seemed like they were close last week. But honestly, Colt McCoy looked more than competent. James Conner was fantastic. So I don't even think it's that big of a difference. I'm going to be on the Arizona Cardinals here, minus 10.5. Cardinals are number 1 in the NFL in overall team DVOA, 4th on offense, 2nd on defense, 7th on special teams. You know where the Panthers are? 26th overall, behind teams such as the Chicago Bears and Washington Footballs. I think the Cardinals are the far superior team. I think they're going to be able to move the ball, whether it's Kyler or Colt McCoy, and I'm really not expecting the Panthers to score more than 13 points here. So if you're telling me all the Cardinals need to do is get to 24, I am very comfortable. And the other reason I like this play a lot, something I'm going to touch on later, is team profiles. I think we can we're at the point in the season where we can start to see how teams perform in certain situations. So Cardinals in large spread games this season, they covered minus 7.5 against the Jaguars in week 3 with a 31-19 win. They also covered a 20-point spread against the Texans in week 7. Panthers as sizable underdogs. They were plus 4.5 against the Cowboys in week 4, lost by 8, plus 4 against the Patriots last week.
Those aren't sizable spreads. 4 points. You're considering that a sizable spread?
They haven't played any games where they're like 15-point under.
Well,
I'm just saying it's like it's over a field goal.
That's a stretch.
Well, they didn't even come close to covering.
All right.
Okay, so that's why I'm on the Cardinals. Go ahead.
I don't think this Cardinals team is as bulletproof as everyone thinks. So they should have lost to the Vikings, but the Vikings were the Vikings, missed the last second field goal. They trailed to the Jaguars for a lot of that game until the Jaguars basically handed them the game.
Give me a break.
Almost lost to the 49ers in Trey Lance's first NFL start. And they lost to the shell of a Packers team 2 weeks ago. So I don't think this team is as bulletproof as everyone thinks they are. Arizona rushing defense, 20th in adjusted line yards, 30th in run stop win rate, 31st in yards per carry allowed at 4.8. So, having McCaffrey back is a huge deal for the Panthers. And look, not having Sam Darnold, that's exactly what I wanted going into this debate, because a large part of this team's downfall is on the back of Sam Darnold. Not expecting PJ Walker to come in and light it up, obviously, but I think he can do a better job of just not turning the ball over, which, turning the ball over less than Sam Darnold is not a big ask. I think the running ability of Walker adds a huge element with CMC in the backfield. So, and this Carolina defense, I was, after the first few games where they had cupcake opponents, I wasn't bought into them, but I think they're 6th overall in defensive DVOA, and they should be able to limit some explosiveness on the back end for the Cardinals. And look, I say it all the time. You're not betting on the Panthers to win this game. You just need to be within 10 points. Injuries for the Cardinals all over the place. This is a lower total. And what do we do with lower totals? We like points in these lower scoring games. So give me the 10.5 points with the Panthers.
Do you know what PJ Walker's career touchdown to interception ratio is?
What's that?
You said he's going to turn the ball over less than Sam Darnold. He has 1 passing touchdown compared to 5 interceptions in his career.
Yeah, that's fine. A lot of it might have been off the bench, not game planning and all that.
Yeah, that's fine. That. Yeah, turn the ball over less. I'll just throw 3 interceptions.
Yeah,
all right.
Not worried about it.
All right, we'll see what happens here. I think your play's dumb. Did you have any props in this game? I had a couple written down. We do not have official lines on this game.
No, nothing right now.
All right, I'm going to be looking at CMC over receiving yards. He went 4 for 54 last week in his return, only played 51% of the snaps and ran 11 total routes. So incredible efficiency. It is a bit of an unknown with PJ Walker starting. So this is probably going to be like a smaller half unit play if we can get McCaffrey in the low 40s. In Walker's lone start last season, he targeted Mike Davis only 2 times for 12 total yards. So not a huge sample size, not something that I'm really going to base a ton off. I think that, if the Panthers are smart, they'll realize McCaffrey is their best player. They get the ball in his hands. So that's something I'm going to look at. Robbie Anderson unders always in play. We'll see where the line opens up. If his receiving yards are anywhere in the 30s, certainly take the under on that. And then a James Conner touchdown. This guy's a touchdown machine right now, leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns, 3 of them last week. Chase Edmonds is now no longer in the picture. If we can get this anywhere around minus 150, or even if you want to do one of those James Conner to score and the Cardinals to win, maybe you can get that around minus 130, something like that. That will definitely be in play for me and potentially finding its way on our prop sheet this week.
All right.
All right, let's move on. Vikings and Chargers. Chargers, 3-point home favorites. Over under is 53. This Vikings team I don't know how many other times we can say it. They're just not a team that can ever find a way to win game. They love losing close games. The Chargers team, even though they won me a lot of money last week, I was pulling my hair out watching the game with some of their decisions on fourth downs, just refusing to take points that are easily there with field goals because they need to go for it every time. Vikings are going to be missing 2 key players on defense. Harrison Smith and Danielle Hunter have both been ruled out. No play for me on the side here. This is another one. Like we said this last week where we felt like we had to take the Vikings. I eventually bought in once it got to 7 against the Ravens. I feel like I'm in a similar spot here. If this gets to 3.5 or 4, I'll probably be forced to take the Vikings. Otherwise, it's probably a Vikings in teasers and then maybe a live betting strategy because I just don't see either of these teams winning by more than a touchdown over the other one.
Yeah, I took the Vikings at +3.
Brave man.
I can't continue to watch. This Chargers run defense, it's just they're not making contact with running backs until they're 4 or 5 yards down the field on every single play. It's like something I've never seen before. And it was even worse seeing it in person last week. I was just mind blown. And look, they're dead last in DVOA against the rush at 5.5%. The next closest team is the Jets at 1%. For those not familiar with DVOA, 4% separating 2 teams is a pretty big margin, allowing 5 yards per carry, which is dead last in the league, 29th in adjusted line yards and stuff rate. I mean, you can't find one positive stat for this Chargers run defense. And I think the knock on this Vikings team of late in these last couple of games, at least, some things I've heard, what I've observed from them, they've been too conservative. But I think this matchup is where conservative can win you the game because they play this shell defense too. Like I said, the run defense stinks. So you can run the ball and throw these short passes, keep Justin Herbert off the field, have some drives sustained, and that's how you can beat this team. And you also touched on it. Brandon Staley refuses to just take points on pretty much any fourth down that's at 4 yards or less, which we saw it work early in the season, but it's 100% starting to catch up to them. So and it wouldn't be a Vikings game if it didn't end in a last second field goal either way. So give me the Vikings at +3.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that for props, this really sets up well for a couple of different plays. Both these teams are very similar on defense. They're both excellent against the pass, terrible against the run. Chargers obviously worse than the Vikings. But I have 3 plays that basically fit that narrative. I know we're both going to be all over Dalvin Cook over rush yards. I think we've said enough about the Chargers defense. Cook's yards were at 85.5 earlier today, so smash the over on that. And then in the passing game, I took a play on Kirk Cousins under 274.5 yards. Chargers defense is top 5 in the league against the pass. Kirk has been under 200 yards in 2 straight weeks. And then Adam Thielen under 64.5 receiving yards. Pair that up with Kirk, you get a nice little double under there. Thielen has been a touchdown monster this season, tied for 3rd in the league with 7 receiving touchdowns, but the yards have really not been there. He has 50 receiving yards or less in 5 of his 7 games, only went 2 receptions for 6 yards last week against the Ravens. And the Chargers are number 4 in the league against opposing wide receiver 2s. So those are my 3 prop plays in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. Dalvin Cook's my main one, 85.5. I was expecting the 90s with how bad this Chargers defense has been. So I don't see any way Dalvin's not getting over 100 yards here.
Jordan, the corpse of Jordan Howard almost got this total last week on like 12 carries.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Absurd. All right. Said all there is to say on that game. Let's move on. Lions and Steelers. Steelers are 8-point home favorites. Over under is at 42.5. May have some weather in this game. I saw some reports projecting around 35 degrees, some wind, maybe a chance of snow. We'll see. Detroit's obviously coming off their bye. Steelers coming off a last-minute win against the Bears on Monday Night Football. So short week for them. They are at home. 2 plays for me on this game. I grabbed a piece of the under when it was at 44. I don't understand how a Bears-Steelers game can have a total of 39, and then the very next week, a Lions-Steelers game can be 5 points higher. That makes 0 sense to me. The Lions have not scored 20 points in a game since week 2. The Steelers are averaging 18.8 points per game. I believe that was before Monday Night Football, so that may be a little bit different now. But they're averaging under 20 points a game. Both these teams lack explosive plays. Goff has no receivers to throw to downfield. Big Ben literally cannot throw the ball downfield. Even when he has guys wide open, he underthrows them by 50 yards. Lions are also 27th in neutral game pace. Steelers are around 16th. So I'm expecting a slower, uglier, grinded out type game here. Give me the under 44 and give me the Detroit freaking Lions +9. I'm on the Lions here. This Steelers team is not to be trusted as a big favorite. We've seen it numerous times, including last week. Give me the Lions. Give me the under.
Yeah, so I just kind of blindly took the Bears last week. Just Steelers shouldn't be favored. You can't lay big spreads with the Steelers, but I'm a little more hesitant with the Lions just because I think the Steelers will be able to run the ball with Najee, and I don't know. The Steelers could realistically score 20 points and cover the spread in my eyes. Like you said, the Lions haven't been scoring at all. I didn't mind taking the points of the Bears as much because their defense isn't too like it's probably a top 15 defense, top half of the league, whereas Lions is bottom 5. I don't know. I'm maybe I would go like a Lions team total to get a piece of this game, or you could look. So I was looking at Steelers splits by half. So first half, they're third in the league in points allowed. Second half, they're 25th in points allowed. So maybe you live bet the Lions at like
saying the back door's wide open.
So maybe you get a big spread at halftime. You get like a +14.5 or something with the Lions, and then you target it that way. Or I don't know. I can't get there taking the points with the Lions. I certainly wouldn't lay it with the Steelers, but I just can't get there with the Lions.
Oh man.
And
would you feel comfortable with Steelers and teasers? Because I honestly, like, I'm not going to say the Lions are going to win this game, but like, it honestly wouldn't shock me. Like, I don't want any piece of the Steelers.
No, I don't want a piece of the Steelers. I mean, I'll be looking at like a Najee rush yard, seeing where they're at. He had he had a ton of carries last week, but not a lot of yards. So if I get anything in like the 70s with him, I'll probably take the over.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, I was going to look at where his touchdown odds were. I think he was like -150 last week if he's somewhere in that range. And then maybe you could look at like a Pat Freiermuth. He's had 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. If you can get him +250, +270, he seems to be the main red zone target in the passing game. And it sounds like Chase Claypool is probably going to miss a few weeks. So it's really just going to be Deontay Johnson and Pat Freiermuth. So any other props for you?
Nope.
All right, let's go to Eagles and Broncos. Broncos 3-point home favorites in Mile High. Over under is 45.5. I am all over the Eagles on this one. I think by week 10, I hinted at this earlier. We're at the point in the season where we can start to build a profile for some of these teams, and we have enough data points to back it up. We've seen this Eagles team all year. When they go up against elite opposing offenses, they lose the game. They don't cover the spread. They got steamrolled by the Cowboys. They lost and did not cover against the Chiefs and the Chargers. They lost against the Bucs. Should not have covered that game. Okay, that's four games against elite offenses. 0-4, 1-3 against the spread. Now let's look at games the Eagles played against mediocre to below average offenses. Won and covered against the Panthers, steamrolled the Falcons, steamrolled the Lions. We're starting to see what the profile of this Eagles team is. They can hang around with these mediocre offenses. I think that's what the Broncos team is. They're not a bad offense, but I don't think they're top half of the league. So I'm all over the birds here. I got them at +3, got their money line at +135. And I also took a small piece of the over at 44.5. It just seemed a little bit low to me, but my main plays here are going to be Eagles +3 and Eagles money line. Are you with me on the birds?
Yeah, look, Eagles 0 sacks in 3 out of the last 4 games. Herbert didn't even take a hit last game. A 5th quarterback to complete 80% of his passes. And Teddy Bridgewater is going to take those short passes all game. There's been no adjustments made on this Eagles defense. There's never adjustments out of the half. It's the same thing every week. I can't imagine how easy it is to game plan for this team. So, look, these teams are pretty even, 18th and 20th in overall team DVOA. I feel like there's probably a little bit of fluff in this line with Denver just beating Dallas, but I can't get there with the Eagles on the spread.
Really?
I did take them in a teaser because I do expect this to be a closer game. It's tough. I feel like you can make a case both ways. Like the Broncos barely escaped a Case Keenum team 2 weeks ago, and then they beat Dallas. The Eagles, like you said, have competed in some games, and they've kept this close. The back door's been open in almost all their games, but
you take the +3.
There's just too many things that could go wrong with this Eagles team for me to take them straight up. So I feel comfortable with the teaser, but I can't get there with 3. Maybe if it goes up a little more, I'll take it. But as for now, just sitting with my teaser.
I'm shocked. I thought you were going to be with me here. This is one of my favorite spots of the week.
Nah.
All right. I did not have any props written down here. Feel like there's a lot of variables on either offense. Not really any main guys you can trust to do much. Did you have any prop looks here?
Yeah, maybe you take like a Jerry Jeudy receptions if they are allowing all those shorter passes, 10 yards, middle of the field that they were allowing to Keenan Allen all last week. Keenan Allen, I think Herbert missed him on his first pass and then completed 12 straight to him. So he ended up with 13 targets, 12 catches. So if they, Broncos see that on film and be like, hey, we can get Jeudy the ball all day in this range of the field, maybe you get like an over 4.5 receptions or something like that.
Yeah, Jeudy was 6 for 69 last week on 8 targets, so he's more of that possession receiver, whereas Courtland Sutton's probably used more downfield, so I like that. All right, next game here. Let's go Seahawks and Packers. Should be a good one. Packers 3.5-point home favorites. Over under is 49. Russ Wilson is back for the Seahawks. No official news on Aaron Rodgers. He needs to be symptom-free and test negative for COVID. So we probably won't know. I don't think that test can happen until Saturday. So I'm assuming it's going to be Rodgers, but there is still a small chance it's Jordan Love. So if you do like the Packers, maybe you want to wait just to make sure Rodgers is in. I grabbed a piece of the Seahawks here when this was at plus 5.5 and the Russ news dropped. I'm a little bit worried about how Russ is going to look just because he hasn't seen any game action in a month, but I feel like he's been in the league long enough where we can kind of trust him in this spot. I think this is probably going to be a pretty close game. I mean, we know this Russ Seahawks team, they're pesky. They're going to hang around. They're not really a team that's going to get blown out very often. So I think if you can get it at 4.5, I like the Seahawks. Otherwise it's probably a pass for me unless this line goes crazy or something happens with Jordan Love. I don't know. This one, did you have a play on this game? Have you bet this?
It's kind of an interesting game. Like you said, Russ hasn't had game action and he's coming off the thumb injury. Then you have Rodgers who hasn't practiced in 2 weeks. And if he does play, it's good that he's not going to be able to practice all week and he's not going to be activated till Saturday. So, it's Aaron Rodgers. I don't think you really need to worry too much about Russ. But, if I'm playing the spread right now, it would be the Seahawks. But I honestly think I would look for a Packers live spot better. We've seen the Seahawks kind of, blow these leads in the second half. So maybe the Seahawks come out strong, build an early lead. You can get the Packers, a few points or get a better number on their money line would probably be the way I would go.
Yeah, we know the Seahawks aren't going to be able to establish a run game. I mean, Chris Carson's still out. They don't really have any great running backs. So if they are ahead, I could definitely see the Packers coming back. For props here, the only note I made, I don't have any strong plays here. I just noted that the Seahawks have been very bad at defending opposing running backs in the passing game. So maybe you could look at an Aaron Jones. My only concern is that AJ Dillon has been getting a little bit more work each week. So I don't know how comfortable I feel. Maybe you could look at a Tyler Lockett now that Russ is back. Maybe you get some depressed numbers on him since he's been pretty bad with Geno. So no official plays here. We don't have lines, but probably not a huge prop game for me.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett was going to be my one lean. Same kind of note you made that maybe you get somewhat of a discount if he's in the 60s or something. You're hoping for a big, you never know with Lockett if it's going to be a big play or two, if it's going to be one of those games where he gets 10 plus catches. But with Russ back, if you get a good number on him, that would definitely be something I would look at.
All right, let's go Sunday Night Football. Should be a fun one. AFC West battle. Chiefs, Raiders. Raiders are 2.5-point home underdogs. Over under is at 51.5. This Chiefs team sucks, man. They should have lost that game to the Packers. Scored 13 points, and that includes a drive that started on the Packers 8-yard line because of a muff punt. What has this offense become? Absolutely helpless. The Raiders, meanwhile, lost a close one to the Giants. No major injury news here. I've been waiting for a Raiders +3. My only concern is that there's been a lot of off the field stuff with the Raiders. We know about Gruden and Henry Bruggs, and now we have their former first round pick, Damon Arnett, getting released from the team with all that crazy stuff on social media. I feel like there's a lot going on with them, but we've seen this Raiders team be competitive with the Chiefs. They went 1-1 against them last year and covered the spread in both games. Those were both high scoring, very closely contested games. So yeah, I'm going to wait and see if I can get a Raiders here. I do like them in teasers. And then I also played the under 52.5. I thought this number was a little bit high. Chiefs have been under this in 4 straight games, averaging 12 points per game over their last 3. offense is broken right now. Raiders have also been under this total in 3 of their last 5, and the teams are around 7th and 11th in neutral game pace. So faster paced teams, but nothing crazy. I think the under is going to be in play here. I could see this game being more like a high to mid 40s game than a low 50s.
Yeah, so I'm kind of the opposite way. I'm waiting for a better money line number on the Chiefs. I think this Raiders number is going to get steamed down a little bit. I think more money's going to come in on them. But look, these teams to me, they're almost similar right now, where you don't really know what you're going to get with the offense. And I think the Raiders defense I feel like it's overperformed all year, and I think we're going to start seeing that come back down to earth. It was kind of
so was the Chiefs the last few weeks.
I wouldn't consider. I don't consider playing Jordan Love overperforming. I just consider that playing against a bad opponent. But
didn't they have a week or two before that where their defense played well?
Possibly, but I'm not.
I think both defenses are pretty bad.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna trust the talent on the Chiefs offense. I talked about it last week how I think Ruggs is just a massive loss for the Raiders. Not
Djax.
Yeah, but what's going to happen once Djax starts playing 50+% of the snaps? He's going to get hurt within probably 1 quarter, right? If he was playing,
he can make it 3.5 quarters.
All right. Sorry, he's gonna bail out the 3rd quarter. Yeah, I'm going to trust what's there with the Chiefs in this matchup against a similar team. Like I said, I don't. Look, I'm one of the biggest Chiefs haters all season. I think this entire season is just a season of regression for this team, but I'm not blown away with this Raiders team. Derek Carr's made stupid mistakes this year, just like Mahomes. I'll trust what's there with the Chiefs if we get close to a pick 'em here. So that's where I'm going.
Could not disagree more. I would never bet the Chiefs here.
Yeah, it's not a popular bet right now, but if at some point they click during this game, it's going to be like, oh man, what was I thinking?
We've been saying that for 6 weeks now. This is the get right spot. If it comes together this week.
No, look, I was on the Raiders last week. I thought they were going to win that game, and they, stupid mistakes. But whatever. Yeah.
No props that I have written down in this game. There's not really anyone that I'm super interested in trusting. Maybe you could look at like a Hunter Renfrow over reception, something like that. He's pretty consistent, but nothing that I had. Did you have anything?
Yeah, nothing for me here.
All right, let's go Monday Night Football, NFC West divisional battle. We have the Rams against the 49ers. Niners are 3.5-point home underdogs. Over-under is at 49. Rams obviously coming off an inexcusable loss to the Titans, a game where Matthew Stafford was running for his life and threw 2 absolutely brutal interceptions. And then on the other side, the 49ers, this team is not very good. Kyle Shanahan is a fraud. They got destroyed by the Cardinals with a backup quarterback. I don't think we have official word on whether it's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance. I would assume it's going to be Garoppolo again. It doesn't look like this team is looking to move to Trey Lance anytime soon. One of my favorite plays of the week here was on the over in this game. This was my largest bet of the openers at 48.5. I really don't understand how this total is under 50. Some of the Rams game over the past few weeks, they closed total of 53 against the Titans, 51 against the Lions, 49.5 against the Giants, and 52.5 against the Seahawks. Like, I don't think this Niners offense is great, but how is a Rams-Lions game closing higher than a Rams-Niners game? Like, just based on some of the totals we've seen in the market, it makes no sense. These teams are a combined 10-7 to the over. The Niners defense is 25th in DVOA against the pass, so I think it sets up really well for Stafford in the passing game. And the Rams also rank number 1 in neutral game script pace, whereas the Niners are 13th. So I am all over the over in this game.
Yeah, this just feels to me like we're all going to go and expecting like a buy low spot on the Rams to come out and smash. It's just going to be like the 49ers are going to win this game. And I feel like I
do not agree with that at all.
Kyle Shanahan is I can't find my Kyle Shanahan's numbers right now. As an underdog and as a favorite, his numbers are just absolutely polar opposites. Like if Kyler Murray played last week and the 49ers remain as underdogs, I think they cover the game. That's how ridiculous it is. And it's just one of those spots where everything's going to go the opposite way. I like the over. That completely escaped me at 48.5. This above all else, the Rams offensive line was a huge concern last week. Stafford had no time, constantly under pressure. I think the 49ers can get some pressure here. There was 2 fumbles early in that game last week that completely derailed the 49ers. No excuses for their defense. I do expect the Rams to be able to put up points here, but we saw the 49ers score 33 points against the Bears defense in Chicago a couple weeks ago. I don't want to completely discredit that. Like, that's, 33 points in Chicago, nothing to scoff at. So I think they can both put up points here. I do expect this to be a pretty close game down the stretch. So don't have a play on it right now. I would lean the 49ers getting over a field goal here, though.
Do you know the last time the 49ers won a game at home?
When was that?
It'd be October 18th of last year against the Rams, oddly enough. They are 1-11.
Against the Rams. That's all I need to hear. Against the Rams.
1-11 at home over the last 2 seasons. That's insane. They don't like playing at home.
Who was that one win, though?
It was against the Rams.
All right, baby. Let's go.
Shouldn't have mentioned that part. Should have just stuck with 1-11 at home over the last 2 years. My other play from this game is pretty similar to my first one, but I will save that for later because it might just be my favorite play of the week. I did not have anything written down on props here. I'll probably be looking at Matthew Stafford over passing yards if we can get somewhere around 300. And then also if you can get him over 2.5 passing touchdowns at plus money only, that will be a play for me as well. Did you have any prop looks here?
Yeah, I'm debating if I want to go back to Debo at 5.5 receptions. I feel like they move him around enough where he's not going to be shadowed by Ramsey. And the reason I like his reception so much is because I feel like he gets like 2 screen passes a game. That's almost a guaranteed 2 receptions. So I feel like you're really just searching for 4 receptions throughout the game, which he can get. But obviously this is contingent on his health. Last week, they came out, said he was going to be on a limited workload. Didn't even know if he was going to make it through the game. So going to be on standby on that one. See where the
only
odds are
concern
at.
with that is if Brandon Ayuk is going to be more involved in this offense. I just don't think the passing volume and passing totals are there to support Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo. That's my only concern.
All right, that's fair, but I feel like the target volume's been consistent.
Yeah, but Ayuk has been invisible until like last week and the week before, maybe.
Yeah, and Debo still had 9 targets last week.
Yeah, and he still went under on both his props and killed me.
All right, well, one game he was over and almost all the others.
Yeah. All right, we'll see. All right, that will wrap up our breakdown of Week 10 in the NFL. Right now, we will go to our long shots of the week. In this segment, we give out our favorite bet of the week at odds of 200 or plus 200 or greater. Rue, I will kick it over to you first. Long shot of the week.
I'm going with a little money line parlay here, taking one dog and one favorite. I'm going a Saints and Patriots money line parlay. Last I checked, it was plus 300 on DraftKings.
Wow. Saints and Patriots. Did not expect that. Okay. I like it. All right. For my long shot of the week, I'm going to go with a same game parlay for Thursday Night Football. 2 of my favorite props and a money line as well. Let's go Lamar Jackson over passing yards. I grabbed 225 for the passing yards. Hollywood Brown over 60 receiving yards and the Ravens money line. So Lamar passing yards, Hollywood Brown receiving yards, Ravens money line plus 218 for me on FanDuel. That's my long shot of the week.
All right.
All right. Favorite bet of the week. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going with a teaser here. Going back to Thursday night to start off. Ravens probably favorite teaser leg of the week, taking the Ravens, tease them down to 1.5. And then I am taking the Saints again, teasing them up to 8.5. So Ravens Saints teaser.
Do you like the Saints this week?
I do, especially in teasers.
I'm going to have way too much exposure on this Ravens game. I mean, I feel good about it against the Dolphins, but if this somehow goes south on Thursday night, it's going to be a long week.
I'm going to end up laying their money line pregame, just knowing it myself, but
all right, my favorite bet of the week. I am going to go back to Monday Night Football. I said I like the over. I said I like this Rams offense. Give me the Rams team total over 26.5. I think this is criminally low for one of the best offenses in football. Rams have gone over this number in 6 of 9 games. They average a little over 29 points per game. You get it under the key total numbers of both 27 and 28. I already talked about the pace of this game. The Rams lead the NFL in neutral game script pace. Niners defense has been below average, especially against the pass. They allow 25.3 points per game. I think Stafford's going to be slinging it, and McVay is going to have something good cooked up after that embarrassing performance against the Titans last week. Rams team total over 26.5.
All right. I like it.
All right, let's close it off with our and everyone's favorite parlay, the Chalk Donkey Parlay, where we pick a couple chalky favorites, parlay them together, and make lots of money.
Got to get back on track here.
So should we just start with the Ravens or?
Yeah, Ravens.
Bucks against the Footballs?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Colts.
There we touch the Bills. I don't know if I'm ready to go back to the Bills after last week.
I'll go back to the Bills. I don't think they lose.
All right, we're at minus 112 already. Do we like the Cowboys or the Colts? A lot of options this week.
If you go Cowboys and Colts, we're at plus 160. I feel like we need to take one out there to be safe.
Yeah, I feel like we're pushing it there.
All right.
I'm at plus 185 with those.
On DraftKings? All right, I'm on FanDuel, so we'll play it on DraftKings. All right, I would be inclined to take out. Oh my God, that's a toss-up who I'd want to take out between the Colts or Cowboys. I guess the Colts.
I was thinking the Colts too.
Okay, all right. So if we go Ravens, Cowboys, Bills, Bucks, I have plus 116.
I have plus 137 on DraftKings. So that will be the official play. Ravens, Bucks, Bills, Cowboys, Moneyline Parlay, plus 137 for the Chalk Donkey Parlay of the week.
All right.
Anything left to say?
No, I think I'm just going to go sleep for the next 3 days until Sunday and get healthy. So,
yeah, rest up, get ready for Sunday. Long day watching football ahead of us. That will do it, everyone. That is a wrap. Hope everyone has an awesome week 10 out there. Any questions, comments, or concerns, hit us up on Twitter at BetRightPod. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Smash the like button on YouTube. As always, the link to the YouTube video will be in the description of this podcast, and we will also post it to our Twitter page. From Jeff and Rue, we are the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast, because every time you bet with us, you bet right.